manifestation. If you have ever set a goal or decided to manifest something new into your life and it hasn't happened and you've been left feeling frustrated, or maybe that you've blamed yourself and decided that there's something wrong with you or you don't deserve it, then this video is for you. Many people think that manifestation is about visualizing or repeating affirmations and mantras and waiting for something to magically appear. Neuroscience tells us something very, very different. What we know about the brain is that the brain will filter out any experiences that don't already accord with how we have programmed our attention system, the reticular activating system. And so today, I'm going to give you 3 fail-safe ways to reprogram your identity so that you start to become the person who you have in your goals and that you have the things that you want to have. So stay until the end because the tips that I'm going to give you are easy to use and embed in your life from today. I'm Tanya Adams. I'm a neuroscience-based coach helping female entrepreneurs to rewire their brains for success in business and life without burnout. I've been doing this for 17 years. I've got over 3,000 hours of helping and transforming women's lives in my coaching practice. What I talk about mostly is I teach something called the Freedom Success Formula, which is the whole idea is identity plus strategy plus community is how we actually create change as human beings. So if you are interested in any of those, if you're interested in neuroscience, if you're interested in achieving goals, if you're interested in rewiring your brain, then subscribe to this channel and put your notifications on so that you never ever miss another video from me. This conversation is not a new one. All over the internet, you'll see people talking about this link between neuroscience and manifestation. Andrew Huberman talks about it from a very neuroscience and scientific perspective. He explains how the prefrontal cortex is involved with prediction and goal setting and future planning, and how it engages the basal ganglia, which is what's responsible for habit formation, and how dopamine improves motivation. And so ultimately, that's how we're going to get our goals. Dr. Tara Swart, on the other hand, talks about how neuroplasticity is impacted by our beliefs and our emotions, and that the more emotionally engaged we are in our future version of ourselves, the more we're going to help neuroplasticity along. And of course, they're both right. There is for me, however, a missing piece, and that's what I want to talk to you about today. The missing piece for me is the identity shift that must happen in order for you to manifest. Identity shift is the real lever of manifestation. And the reason for this is that we have in our brains something known as the reticular activating system. And the reticular activating system is a filtering mechanism. The reticular activating system determines where we place our attention. And how that reticular activating system decides what to pay attention to is based on what we tell it to pay attention to. You'll be familiar with this when you have an experience where you're shopping for a new car and you think that you've got this great new idea about a new car. And suddenly, while you're in this process of buying a new car, suddenly every second person on the road is driving your car, and very often in the exact same color and the same model as your car. And all that's happened is that those people were already driving those cars. They didn't just magically appear on the road because you decided you wanted that car. What has happened is that your reticular activating system has been primed to pay attention to this particular car. And what's really interesting is that given that those cars were already there before, you didn't notice them. And so here's the real trick, because the reticular activating system not only decides what we pay attention to, it also decides what we ignore. And so what that means is that if you want to manifest a new reality for yourself, and you already have an embedded self-narrative around who you are in respect of that, your reticular activating system will not take you down the road of where you want to go. It's going to keep presenting to you evidence of who you've been up until now. If your goal is to make money and you decide that you want to make $1 million, and you have an internal self narrative that people like us don't really make money, then what your reticular activating system is going to do is pay attention to that And it's going to block you from seeing any opportunities for you to get to that point. And so this is really the starting place for where we need to make our shifts. I refer to this as the identity matrix. And the identity matrix is the sum total of everything that's going on, mainly on an unconscious level. So on the outer world, we see people's outcomes, and you will see your results. And that extends to your relationships, your financial health, your physical health. And there's a set of activities and actions and behaviors that you do that causes those outcomes. Here's where we need to really start looking is what is motivating you to do those behaviors that have given you those outcomes? And what that is your identity. Your identity runs the show unconsciously, and you are not often aware that your identity is driving your next thought, your next feeling, and therefore your next action, which creates your outcome. So the first thing to do is to change the identity. And this is part of what I refer to as the be, do, have framework. Many people that I know set goals by saying, when I am confident, then I'll start applying for jobs. I'm in a really bad space right now. This is often how the narrative goes. I'm in such a low space right now. When I get my confidence back, I'll start applying for new jobs and then I'll be successful. And here's what people don't understand is that what has to happen is our identity as a successful person has to precede that. Because if you're going to wait all the time to be confident, very simply what you're telling your reticular activating system is, I'm not confident. And it's going to serve up to you all the examples, more of the same. And so you've set yourself a goal, a career goal to get a new job or a new position right in the beginning of the year. And you've got a constant narrative saying, oh, my confidence is so low, my confidence is so low. And your reticular activating system is saying, yes, you are. Look, there's more evidence of it. And so, despite our best efforts of saying our mantras and our affirmations and visualizing this new job, your identity is moving you into circles of relationships, into situations, into habits and behaviors that keep you where you were. Because the brain's not really interested in your goal. What it is interested in is staying sane. It's interested in familiarity, it's interested in predictability, it's interested in knowing what is going to happen next and being able to continue in that path. All around keeping you safe and keeping the energy usage low. So the real process of manifestation and creation is actually be, do, have. Once I have changed my identity, I am a successful person. I am easily promoted, I am well liked, I'm respected in my field. Once I change my identity to that, what will happen is I will automatically do things that align with that. I will speak up in meetings, I will put my name forward for things, I'll volunteer for things, and then I will have the confidence and the success that I want. And so this is where we need to start with identity first, action second, and then we get our results. So I promised you three micro tips for how to do this. And it's way more simple than you think. You do not have to meditate on a hill for a whole entire day. It is a simple process that you can employ really for a couple of minutes every morning if you're willing to do the work. And if you've set yourself a goal and you are serious about the goal, then to my mind, you'd be willing to do whatever it takes. And so here's my three-step process to using neuroscience to manifest your goals. And this will work for anything. And I'm going to give you some really cool examples so that you can see how you can apply this. So the first thing to do is to realize that manifestation is not about wishing. Visualization helps because we're engaging the visual cortex, and yes, we're firing off neurons, and the brain doesn't distinguish between a memory and a future vision. All of that is true. So, yes, visualization is helpful, though merely visualizing, and that's all you do, is not going to be sufficient. So, what is the first thing that you're going to do? Is you're going to start thinking in the frame of identity statements. So let's say you set a goal to make 1 million this year. Let's say the truth of it is that you didn't actually set a goal. That wasn't what you wanted, was it? What you wanted was to be a millionaire. So already inherently there is the identity statement, because having 1 million can come and go. It hasn't fundamentally changed your future. So the first step is to go back to your goals that you set at the beginning of the year and reframe them into an I am statement. I am a fit, healthy person who exercises regularly. I am a, maybe you want to be a millionaire. Maybe you want to be a billionaire. I am a YouTuber. I am a successful YouTuber. I am a published author. So your goal may have been, I'm going to write a book this year. And that's just a goal. What's more important is I'm a published author, because what do published authors do? And here I'm going to give you an example of how this works. If you're an author, what are you doing? Writing. I am going to write a book. May or may not happen. Maybe you're going to write, maybe you don't write. Though the brain always wants us to be congruent with our identity. So the moment that you start to reframe your goals as I am identity statements, the reticular activating system is already going to just move you into behaving as though you already have that thing. What do published authors do? They write. What do speakers do? They speak. And so the minute that that's there, that identity matrix starts to feed upwards to your behavior, and there's no resistance inside you at all. Whereas when you'd set the goal to say, I'm going to write a book, how easy is it to go and sit down and start writing that book? Not so easy. So that's step one. Reframe your goals as identity statements. I am. By the end of this month or by the end of this year, I am. And then the second thing is to prime that reticular activating system in any number of ways. Vision boards are great. If you're somebody who's visually oriented, then stick up pictures of preferably not your face. Find, if it's somebody that is on side profile that you can't really see that it's or has a similar color hair to you, or from the back. Because the minute that the brain recognizes, we've got strong facial recognition cues that it's not you, the reticular activating system is going to say, oh, well, that's for somebody else. So when you're constructing your vision board, use pictures that you could apply to yourself, and use journaling. And here's my favorite journaling prompt. So this is gold nugget. So get out your pens and make some notes, or type it in the chats or the comments so that you remember it and you can come back to it. If I was already fill in the blank, how would I show up today? Because by first of all stating the identity statement, I am a millionaire, I am a published author. And then by journaling in the morning, if I was already a published author, how would I show up today? The brain's natural answering mechanism, the brain is a query answering machine. It wants to close the circle on the question. So it's going to go and look for behaviors. It's going to go and look for answers. And it's going to say to you, well, you would write, or you would research, and so it starts to be this feedback loop. And then the third part of it is, and this is how neuroplasticity closes the circle. It requires activity. The third part is do the thing. I am a published author. If I were already a published author, how would I show up today? And then go and write. And the more that you do that, the more that the agreement you've made with yourself is I am a writer, and everything else filters up. And what starts to become available for you is you start bumping into publishers, you start bumping into other writers, you start bumping into reference material that you didn't think existed. And suddenly it feels easy. All that's happened, there's no magic that's happened, is that you have dropped the resistance inside you, which comes from the amygdala. Whenever we want to create change, the amygdala fires. And the way around that is to shift the identity first. Because why? Because the amygdala will then not be triggered, because your new identity is what it knows, and it's going to keep you aligned with that. You can also use ChatGPT, and I know this is controversial. I've been using ChatGPT to give me journal prompts to help me to shift different pieces of my identity. It's very effective, provided you prompt ChatGPT to ask you questions and not give you advice, and not just repeat what it's getting back from you. challenge it to ask you in-depth questions about your identity. And I've developed a 21-day process, which is going to be coming soon, by the way, around this, using AI tools to help you with that. So to wrap up, manifestation is not about wishing. It's not about having on the top of a mountain and hoping that this stuff arrives. Manifestation is about changing your identity. And here's my challenge to you today. Choose one area where you want to shift your identity and become the goal, not get the goal, become the goal, because that's what this is all about. And for an extra bonus tip, if you want to employ this, there's a really great hack around my 3 tips: saying I am, and then priming your reticular activating system, and then doing the thing. The quickest shortcut to that, if you want to really boost it and fuel it, is to get in the company of other people who are already the identity that you want to be. Because our brain is socially wired, it's going to naturally adapt to that. And so when you've done your 3 tips, if you want to really fuel this up, find a group of people who are already who you want to be and spend time with them and watch how quickly your identity will shift. If you love this stuff, please subscribe to the channel and like it, and put a comment in what was your biggest nugget, and tell me what identity piece are you going to change this week so that you are going to end the year having hit your goals, because this is the time where you can pivot and hit your goals. So what is the identity that you're going to change this week? Like the channel, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week for another little nugget and another tip on neuroscience for success in your life and in your business.